Absolutely obscene. Absolutely obscene. A total betrayal. Totally insane. I just can't believe... I cannot believe it. Playing out the caricature. You're making them sound right. So cut it out. Can you stop? You sound insane right now. He wants you to be sent to a Nordic-style hotel where you're taught about how socialism's cool, actually. That's what he's saying. That's basically what he's laying out.
And
re-education camps?
So, I want to go over a few tweets here, or a couple of tweet chains, really, about Pisco's disagreement with, I guess, the broader Destiny sphere at this point, not just his Lebanon co-hosts. Well, not even his one co-host, Hutch, that's it. But now the broader Destiny sphere, okay? So, he says here, and we'll watch the clip he's talking about here in a minute. Lol at people atting me with this clip in response to a thought experiment I ran with @CounterConnor, Connor counterpoints, which was essentially Trump or Hassan. Who you pick is a close ally to the Dems, as a close ally to the Dems. Not me who came up with this, but one of my co-hosts. And of course, predictably, some people pick Trump/Kirk/MAGA, revealing their unhinged arrangement. But their main enemy is not Trump, it's Hassan Piker. I say some because even Destiny subreddit, the left community that most despises Hassan, shares that preference with me. So now, if you express a preference for Hassan Piker over Donald Trump, you endorse Hassan, or want to be friends with Hassan, or want to build bridges with Hassan. Absolute derangement, sorry to say. So, pretty reasonable there, I think. Pretty freaking reasonable. I mean, I've gone over my perspective on this stuff a lot. I feel like, obviously, a lot of the far lefties are going to diverge on Gaza and stuff like that quite significantly from these people, and that is really what this all comes back down to, is people who are super pro-Israel and super pro sort of military intervention on behalf of America and Western allies and stuff, really hate Hassan and his ilk, because oftentimes when there's something like Gaza going on, they will want strong stances taken by politicians that oftentimes aren't seen as politically feasible, even when the moral principle lines up with what they want. In Destiny's case, I don't think he cares about any of that. I think it's pure spite against Hassan. But obviously in Pisco's case, Pisco differs from someone like Hassan. Because, for instance, when the AOC vote happens the other day, as much as he agrees with the moral principle that most of the lefties are espousing, that Israel shouldn't receive funding, he disagrees with them practically, doesn't think it's worth hounding AOC over that particular vote, and so sort of lets it slide, and will say, I don't agree with the criticism that the lefties are making right now. Which is pretty reasonable. I think that's pretty reasonable, and that's like a good perspective for actually like not alienating people that would be pretty close allies, because ultimately, you know, you can talk about how Hassan's, you know, pipe dream ideology is so extreme and destructive, but he does say he's fine with incremental gains. He will always be like, you know, okay with incremental gains, and he wants incremental gains. He wants, you know, people's lives to get better in the short term, knowing the communism is a long way off. Does he still oftentimes hide his power level and try to sort of, you know, slip stuff in a little bit? Yeah, I think so. But also, I think the other side blow it out of proportion and say he's more radical in some ways, that he's not. We'll be taking a look at a post about that in a moment, I think, on Pisco's subreddit. But let's read through this Twitter thread first, because this is just, like, totally absurd. So this is the clip that everyone's talking about.
The reason why I'm saying this is not because, contrary to popular opinion on TikTok from, like, leftists on Twitter, I'm not a shepherd for the Democratic Party. I don't give a fuck about the Democratic Party. But they are our representatives.
So, Hassan here, as much as the libs are giving him shit, he is actually kind of strawmanning and not engaging with the leftist criticism of him. When people accuse him of being a shepherd for the Democratic Party, leftists accuse him of being a shepherd for the Democratic Party, they're not saying Hassan is a lying, deliberate shill who is only pretending to get you into the Dems. They're saying Hassan's part of the system. Hassan is functionally, you know, a liberal. He engaged in electoralism too much to be one of us lefties. He's not so far in favor of upturning a system that he's like one of us. You know, he's still liberal. He's still functionally liberal and essentially controlled opposition. They're not saying he's doing it necessarily intentionally, but just that that's the effect he has. So he's not even engaging with the criticism they're making of him here, and yet both sides are gonna freak out him over this. Very funny.
voices, and they're supposed to represent us, and they do have a platform, and the media does listen to them, so we have to wield them like a weapon to the best of our ability. We have to use them to also continue yelling about these things that we care about. Because
so, what's wrong with that? He doesn't... What is wrong with that? Seriously. This is the perspective of most people. They don't particularly give a fuck about the party. They have an emotional attachment to the party. They see the party as a means to secure their interests. What's the big problem? I understand that the point here is, like, you know, you can make an extended point, an extrapolated point about how Hassan's ideology is damaging and harmful, and how allowing him to use the Democratic Party as a weapon to try and affect that could be bad if you're, like, super against Hassan's ideology. But equally, from the other side, as someone who's, like, Janine, kind of left-leaning lib who supports the Dems, you should be thinking, well, I want to use Hassan as a weapon. I want to use Hassan to get leftist Hassan fans to vote for Democrats so that I can get my goals, because these are people who are willing to vote for Democrats, unlike MAGA Republicans, you know, more conservative type people who are just going to vote Trump or Vance or whatever the fuck. Hassan and his audience might actually vote them. So they would be actually quite good people to try and use to achieve that goal. But we don't care about that because we hate Hassan, of course. So, then Pisco and Destiny have a big exchange. Hassan or Trump, who are you voting for if you had to pick? Trump at least has some vague notion of supporting America, so immediately. So he is asked, Hassan or Trump, who are you voting for if you had to pick? Trump at least has some vague notion of supporting America. However misguided it is. If he destroys the country, it'd be a byproduct of his stupidity and narcissism. With Hassan, it could be done by ideological design. He supports foreign terrorist groups, despises US allies, supports historical revisionism to paint US adversaries in a better light, has admitted that he would ban opposing political parties in the United States and would lock his enemies forever in re-education camps if they didn't agree with his political ideology. As an ML, he would support the creation of a single vanguard party to violently enforce all of these changes. This is just what we know of Hassan's views publicly. We also know that he's stated on shows that he hides his true beliefs so he can funnel people further down the radicalization pipeline. We already survived 4 years of Trump. I'm not convinced we'd survive 4 years in a Hassan-styled regime. So, bear in mind, this is who would you vote for? And this seems to be, all the wording here assumes Hassan is put into power within the current American political system. He is not installed as a dictator. He is voted for as president and put in as president through an election. Okay? That's the premise. That is pretty clearly the premise. All the wording lays it out. So you would vote for Trump over Hassan, correct? I would vote for the guy who supported January 6th versus the guy who supported October 7th, yes. So this is absurd. Not only do I believe that Hassan's never vocally, explicitly supported October 7th, I don't believe that's ever happened. You can make inferences about, like, this statement, this, but he's never actually said I support October 7th or anything like that. It's not happened. Versus Trump, who supported January 6th. You mean instigated and orchestrated? Surely. You mean, surely you mean Trump fuck me, I can't remember what I said now. Fucking orchestrated this shit. Instigated and orchestrated Jan 6. That's surely what you mean. These are not equal. These are not equal. Whatever, you know, abstract support for October 7th you think you can spin up about Hassan is in no way comparable to attempting to overthrow the US government. You've lost your mind, brother. You've lost your fucking mind. And so have any of your dipshit fans that are going along with this absolutely deranged line of thinking. How, after all of the issues with Jan 6 that Destiny's expressed, can you possibly make this tweet? Absolutely obscene. Absolutely obscene. A total betrayal. Totally insane. I just can't believe, I cannot believe it. This guy is working on January 6th video, right now, by the way. Apparently he's recording voice lines recently. He's literally working on this right now. And he's saying this shit. He's saying Trump supported January 6th. No, he didn't support it. He orchestrated it. He orchestrated the whole fake elector scheme. Isn't that your whole thing? It was fucked. It was totally fucked. You can't compare that to Hassan. That's absurd. Okay, we have an honest disagreement then. I would vote for Hassan over Trump. I see Trump and MAGA as a greater enemy than Hassan Piker. That's because you don't think tankies are really that bad. Okay, man. You're not even engaging, retard. I hate tankies. I'm not a socialist/communist like you've convinced your audience. I just think fascist Trump is my bigger enemy. I'm not convinced Hassan could turn the country into a Marxist hellhole if he wanted. I think Trump and MAGA are doing more damage than he could. You've morphed this fundamentally into a fundamentally different type of question, then. If you're asking who I would vote for, if the election was tomorrow, that is what you were asked. And the rest of the political system/country would remain exactly the same. So remember, that is what he was asked, and his entire answer intonated that that's what he understood the question to mean in the earlier tweet. Not just is that exactly what he was asked, but his entire answer to the question intonated that he understood it to mean that. And now he is trying to retcon the previous replies to be like, whoa, I didn't mean like, shut the fuck up. If you're asking who I'd vote for if the election were tomorrow and the rest of the political system/country remain the exact same, I'd vote Hassan, because he's too stupid and the ideas are too radical to get anything done in this country. But that's like asking if I'd vote for Trump versus Hitler. I'd heavily consider voting for Hitler over Trump, because despite how bad Trump is, I think Hitler's name alone would scare off the majority of the Republican Party from working with him. But that's kind of a meaningless statement and misses the central point of the question. Well, okay, it'd be Democrat Party, because Trump would assumedly be the Republican candidate still. I don't know. Well, maybe we'd switch him around. Who knows? But then surely you would... I don't know. You'd probably vote for Trump in that case if you had the Democratic establishment around him. I don't know, man. Anyway, I thought that sort of hypothetical was more retarded. It's better to analyze, like, current political figures, rather than ones that have committed genocides and completely tarred their reputation. That is how you use internet. I'm like 90% sure I used internet correctly there. I don't think I've morphed anything. I'm saying gun to your head right now, Trump or Hassan. And I guess I'm not sure what your answer is or when you'd support Trump in this context. I'm obviously taking for granted that the political system of the USA. I also think Hassan is more aligned with you and Dems than fucking Trump. Basically, I think the answer is determined when we're talking about Trump. Support or vote for. You keep changing the question. There are tons of implications in each of those terms. I would vote for Hassan because I know he has zero chance of winning. But again, that kind of misses the point of the question. In what world is Hassan more aligned with me than Trump? Alright, man. Quiet part out loud. See, this is my problem. I'm a lib, and I would always vocally oppose that sort of lefty attitude of push comes to shove, libs always side with the fascists. Scratch a lib and a fascist, but that sort of lefty, I feel that's brain rot. I feel like that's insane. I feel like you're retarded if you think that would happen. And then I see Destiny, I'm like, wait, you're playing out the caricature. You're making them sound right. So cut it out. Can you stop? You sound insane right now. You sound totally insane. Yeah, exactly. Destiny always fought that notion. But now he's doing it. It is like if I had like any shred of respect left for this guy, I would find this disappointing, to be honest. Thank you for the $10, that guy 66. For once he's honest, both he and Trump are habitual consent violators with a worrying interest for the underage. Someone said Trump would pardon sex offenders. I feel like that makes the choice pretty clear for Destiny. So yeah, he seems to... In what world is Hassan more aligned with me than Trump? Hassan is fundamentally anti-capitalist. He's anti-liberal. He's anti-USA. So, okay. Trump does not care about capitalism. And Hassan would not, I don't think, if he believed an instantaneous tearing down of capitalism would lead to mass death in the country and collapse society, he wouldn't do it. Simply dispositionally, regardless of any ideology, Hassan would not allow the society he's living in, that he's benefiting from, to completely crumble. He would not want that to happen, and he would start delegating if he felt like that was happening, I think. Because Hassan is functionally liberal. He is functionally liberal. He lives as a liberal. He lives as a capitalist. He enjoys the benefits of capitalism and liberalism. And I don't think he would want to see those vanish so quick. I don't think he would want to see those just completely ripped away from him, and the mass death that might occur if you completely just upturned every, you know, fundamental underpinning of America. Don't think that's the case. I don't believe that. Save the $10. You can tell Destiny is a woman because he's never had that dream where you're doing the Call of Duty 4 Chernobyl mission with Fatah in occupied Palestine. Okay, thanks, Max, for the $10. So, anti-capitalist, anti-liberal. So yeah, Trump doesn't care about liberalism, is anti-liberal. He's anti-USA in the capacity that any part of the USA overrides his self-interest. He comes at me anti those parts. I mean, that goes for all these statements, to be honest. Anti-intervention in probably all scenarios. No, I don't think so. I honestly don't think that. I thought Hassan would want to step in over human rights abuses and shit like that. Anti-intervention for, like, economic interests and shit like that, for sure. But for, like, human rights abuses and stuff like that, I feel like Hassan would be pro-intervention. I don't feel like Hassan is, like, a total zero military guy. Pro-monoparty through violent enforcement. Okay, well, I wouldn't say Trump isn't that. I don't know 100% where Hassan lies, to be honest. Okay, for crystal clarity, vote for an outcome-determinative fashion, i.e. who are you actually picking in your perfect world, who is winning. That is what the question is trying to suss out. Read political alignment can answer, but getting ready for debate. So, Pisco was at Tim Pool's studio today. Sure, he said it was good for China to go into Tibet. So I saw this post on Pisco subreddit. Pull it up. It's a post called, "You Shouldn't Trust DGG to Interpret Hassan's Ideology," which interested me. I gotta say, that interested me. So I want to take a look. What does this guy have to say? What's the steel man here? Part 1. Re-education in Hassan's ideological beliefs. On yesterday's stream, someone named ZipZip called in and claimed Hassan wants re-education camps and referred to his conversation with Ethan Klein about them. Hassan does not believe in having re-education camps, and this interpretation that he does is clearly bad faith when you listen to Hassan's fleshed out thoughts. Here are the clips. Let's see.
On things.
Okay, so you're saying, for example, when he's against the deportations to Saqqat, it's because of why?
Because he doesn't like Donald Trump, and because he hates minorities, or for whatever reason. But basically, I know what you're getting at. But Hassan has also explicitly said that he would be in favor of like re-education camps in his ideal society or whatever. In that one conversation with Ethan Klein, I don't know if you've seen that clip, but there's a lot of stuff there that if you
that's bad.
Look at Hassan,
which is bad. I think Kirk would, but Kirk right now is defending the stuff that's actually happening, and I think Kirk would also support re-education camps if Trump instituted it. So
I don't disagree.
But I think that like Kirk would also support a bunch of other fucked up shit that Hassan wouldn't.
Yes, but not because of where they came from. Like Hassan would support stuff that Charlie Kirk would not abide by.
So, probably a deranged interpretation. Let's see. Whoops.
Like that.
Yeah. And so if the will of the people is to go back to do more of a social democracy, is that something that a socialist country should move towards, or should there be resistance in the government to keep socialism?
I think the resistance should be akin to how capitalist governments have resisted historically any kind of socialist movement, not to that same degree of violence, but I think that yes, the solution to that would always be education and offering more
re-education.
Re-education, certainly, yeah. I know that that's like a
Let's
trigger
put them in
word.
Camps.
No, not like that. I know there's a trigger word because everyone goes, "Oh, re-education." What do you mean? Like immediately people think like, "Are you
China
talking
does
about
that.
Are you talking about like resident schools? Are you talking about the
China has
Xinjiang?" Yeah,
re-education
100%. They
camps.
do. They do it. They did it in Xinjiang, which I
isn't
think
good,
was,
right?
No, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it was
Okay.
good. This is something I have openly criticized as well. Like that's not good. The massive surveillance apparatus that they built in Xinjiang is not good.
So what would be good about a socialist re-education camp for capitalists?
It wouldn't necessarily. I don't think it'd be camps. I mean, it depends on. It depends on crimes, right? Like, are people committing crimes at the behest of this? Because if there's a socialist state and someone is doing like white terror, let's say, or someone is doing South Korean style, purges of communists, which has happened historically in every country that America is aligned with, because they were anti-communist, where they've launched, military dictatorships, whether we recognize it or not. Those things have happened, right? So in a situation like that, I think if there's any kind of like terrorism happening,
sure, yeah. If there's violence, that's obvious.
I do think that there should be an enforcement mechanism, and in that enforcement mechanism, I think like rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well, would probably be a lot better than like, a prison structure where they have slavery, like in the United States of America.
Okay. That has been spun very heavily. That is not exactly the same thing as Hassan believes in re-education camps, is it? In fact, he explicitly said he didn't believe in re-education camps, and what he said is that if people were doing ideological violence against a socialist state, a hypothetical socialist state, instead of having slavery prisons, they should be prisons focused around rehabilitation that involve educating you into how to fit into the society you currently live in. This is something that is not particularly crazy. That's not really that bad of an argument. And I invite anyone to criticize it right now. If you're in the chat and you've got an issue, I saw Liberal Latino spazzing a moment ago. What's the criticism? Tell me. Anyone got an actual criticism? Anyone get any actual point? Or do we just all agree with Hassan? The other person said re-education camp. They say re-education camps. That's not what's being asked for here, is it? He's talking about rehabilitation in prisons after committing a violent offense. A re-education camp suggests that people of an ideology or perspective are forced into camps to have that stripped from them. That's what a re-education camp obviously implies. This is a violent offender he's talking about here, of an extremist ideology being rehabilitated. Yeah, this would be part of their criminal justice system, right? His hypothetical socialist criminal justice system. So yeah, I'm not seeing good pushback. I'm not seeing good criticism of this. What do you mean? Do we need to watch this clip again? Like, what do you mean? We just imprison people. He's not saying he just wants to imprison people. He doesn't want a traditional prison system. He wants a rehabilitative justice system. He wants not for you to be, when you commit a violent act of ideological terrorism, he doesn't want you to be sent to a concrete block where you have to piss in a bucket. He wants you to be sent to a Nordic-style hotel where you're taught about how socialism's cool, actually. That's what he's saying. That's basically what he's laying out. He's saying, don't do forced labor. Don't do massive prisons. Do re-education, rehabilitation. So, I mean, it looks like we've got no pushback. No pushback. Everyone's on Hassan's team. If the will of the people is to go back to a social democracy, so let's read the transcript. I assume there's going to be an argument laid out here as well. If the will of the people is to go back and do a social democracy, is that something a socialist country should move towards, or should there be resistance in the government to keep socialism? I think the resistance should be akin to how a capitalist government have restricted historically any kind of socialist movement. Not to that same degree of violence, but yes, that solution would always be educating and offering more re-education. Re-education, certainly. Yeah, I know that's a trigger word. Let's put them in camps. No, not like that. I know that's a trigger word because everyone goes, oh, re-education, what do you mean? Well, China does that. Are you talking about residential schools? Are you talking about Xinjiang? China has re-education camps. Yeah, 100% they do. They did it in Xinjiang, which is pretty good, right? No, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it was good. And this is something I've openly criticized as well. That's not good. The massive surveillance apparatus they built in Xinjiang is also not good. So what would be good as a socialist re-education camp for a capitalist? I don't think it would be camps. It depends on crime, right? Like, if people are committing crimes at the behest of this, because if a socialist state and someone is doing it like white terror, or say someone is doing South Korean-style purges of communists, which has happened historically in every country that America is aligned with, because they were anti-communist, where they launched military dictatorships. Whether we like it or not, those things happened. So in a situation like that, yeah, I think if there's any like terrorism happening, yeah, if there's violence, that is obvious. Then yes, I do think there should be an enforcement mechanism, and in that enforcement mechanism, I think rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well, which would obviously probably be a lot better than like a prison structure where they have slavery, like in the United States of America. He explicitly rejects the idea of re-education camps. In the way Hassan explains it, he talks about education of socialism to be the same how a capitalist country would teach or indoctrinate for capitalism. In the way he talks about re-education, he's talking about a rehabilitative process for people who commit violent crimes or ideologically motivated terrorism. For Hassan's alternative, in practice, it already exists. There are several liberal democracies that run compulsory or voluntary de-radicalization programs for violent extremist offenders. Denmark, Norway, Finland, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada all have some form of voluntary de-radicalization programs for offenders who commit ideological violence. The UK, Germany, Singapore, and France all also have similar programs but make them mandatory in specific legal circumstances. So Hassan's idea of re-education can be interpreted to be somewhat radical, but it is something capitalist countries already do now. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, this is about the DPP in the UK, Germany, Singapore, France.
The will of the people is to go back to do...
Just explaining the different re-education systems. We don't really need all that. Part 2. Destiny, Thought Crimes, and Hassan Derangement Syndrome. I'd actually looked this up a few days ago because I heard Not So Erudite talking about Hassan, and she repeated some bad faith interpretations as well. This is what compelled me to search this up, as I've also seen her having Hassan Derangement Syndrome. Then, I felt compelled to make this post about DGG, because after hearing this yesterday, I looked for more clips with ChatGPT. The prompt was something like, Hassan Piker is accused of advocating for re-education camps. Can you find me clips of him doing this? The first 2 clips it gave me were literally Destiny clips of him going over this. To point out the bad faith in the Destiny clip, before Hassan has even given his answer, he's asking chat for a clip of someone else talking about re-education. Then he just asserts Hassan is lying, plays a clip of someone else talking about re-education camps, and says that is what Hassan actually wants. Hey.
The will of the people is to go back to do more of a social democracy. Is that something that a socialist country should move towards, or should there be resistance in the government to keep socialism?
I think the resistance should be akin to how capitalist governments have resisted historically any kind of socialist movement, not to that same degree of violence, but I think that, yes, the solution to that would always be education and
re-education camps.
So,
offering.
Dude, literally, he is immediately, the narrative is just like knee-jerk, pure knee-jerk. And now he's going to justify it for the rest of the clip. So the question was just, how would a socialist state enforce socialism? Yeah, how would it perpetuate socialism? How do you know it wouldn't just turn one generation ago capitalist and it all comes crumbling down? How would that be perpetuated? And so I was like, well, similar to capitalism, you know, education. Re-education? Why don't you give it them? Why don't you hear what he's saying first?
More
re-education?
Or spaz?
Re-education, certainly, yeah.
What total spaz?
Somebody give me the clip of that one loser who's like, we would house our comrades in re-education camp. Somebody please give me the clip. Please give me the clip.
I know that that's like a
Let's
trigger
put them in
word.
Camps.
No, not like that. I know there's a
not the camps. Oh no.
trigger word because everyone goes, oh, re-education. What do you mean? Like immediately people think like, are you talking about like resident schools? Are you talking about Xinjiang? Yeah, 100%. They do. They do it. They did it in Xinjiang, which I think
good, right?
No, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it was good. This is something I have openly criticized as well. Like that's not good. The massive surveillance apparatus they built in Xinjiang is not good.
So what would be good about a socialist re-education camp for capitalists?
It wouldn't necessarily. I don't think it'd be camps. I mean, it depends.
Well, it wouldn't be camp. Oh my God, I don't hate him. I don't hate Hassan.
What's wrong? You haven't even heard his answer yet. You haven't even heard what he said. Literally talking about rehabilitation for people who have committed crimes, like violent crimes and terrorism, ideological terrorism. What's the problem? That's what Hassan's position is here. We've just gone over that. No one's got any good pushback. Liberal Latino spazzed out at first, but then can't justify anything. So we've got no good pushback. It seems like Hassan is just asking for rehabilitation that includes like education about how to fit into that society with the ideology that is in the government. In much the same way that we try and de-radicalize people from Islamic extremism in many Western countries because that ideology does not fit with the ideology of the government. Why does he believe socialism will win with education, though? Seems very cultish. Well, everyone believes well, hopefully everyone believes their ideology would win with education, right? I believe my ideology would win with education, right? You just assume that most people are rational actors, and if they have access to all the information, then they'll come to the right decision, and you believe that your decision is the right decision. And as such, if everyone had perfect information and you're all going, we would all come to the same decision, right? Hopefully everyone thinks that, unless your ideology relies on you tricking people. Which it might.
I hate her.
Whoops.
All of the mind-numbingly retarded fucking fans that can watch him squirm like this and not think that it's the most. You literally have the.
I said most people are rational. I said
here, okay.
Most people are rational. On average, on balance, most people are rational. If you have enough people voting with access to all the information, the rational decision will win out. Okay. My ideology is that mass education is fundamentally impossible. We're doomed to a cycle of constant changing systems. Okay.
And asking the most innocuous questions, and Hassan is acting like he's getting
absolutely
in front of like a fucking Senate Judiciary Committee, and he's like under oath, and he's like committed like 50 million crimes he's trying to hide from the United States. Like, it's actually appalling.
Depends on it depends on crimes, right? Like, are people committing crimes at the behest of this? Because if there's a socialist state and someone is doing like white terror, let's say, or someone is doing South Korean style, purges of communists, which has happened historically in every country that America.
Sorry, hold on. We just skipped so much shit. This stupid. My synergy froze. Oh, this is the
But rather than a.
This is the clip. Hold on. This is what they want to do.
Abandoning the diagnosed or untreated mental illness will be substantially lower. It's a sad
fact
that some violent or predatory individuals may never be capable of entering back into society. But rather than abandoning these people, we must do our best to give them the best possible chance at recovery and reform with the hopes of eventually re-entering society. In situations where re-entry does seem possible, care must be taken to monitor and assist these reformed individuals to preempt relapse or deception and to ensure that the patient successfully merges back into wider society. Reactionaries and counter-revolutionaries would be treated in a very similar manner. How we deal with former capitalists, fascists, and other such oppressors will be one of the great tests of anarchist society. Great care must be taken to treat them compassionately and humanely, giving them every opportunity.
Is Hassan even an anarchist? I don't think this guy even.
Comrades, starting by treating them like any other comrade with special circumstances. Rather than ship deposed class enemies off,
I think this isn't representative of Hassan.
Revenge, they should be placed in reform centers where they are able to live in comfort and benefit from counseling and education, teaching them about the benefits of our new society. Some may never be willing to give up their abuses, and these die-hard oppressors would need to be secluded, perhaps indefinitely. But capitalists and reactionaries who demonstrate a willingness to re-enter society on equal footing should be given every opportunity to learn, grow, and eventually rejoin our community in peace.
Bro, somebody link this to Ethan. That's what Hassan wants.
I just... See, it was happening the whole way through Leftovers. The whole way through Leftovers. This guy was desperate to see Ethan freak out on Hassan. Was desperate. And was priming his audience heavily. And then the moment there were cracks showing, they infested his subreddit. They did. They infested Ethan's subreddit. It was blatant. Everyone could see the op. It's just so transparent. I don't know how anyone falls for this shit, man.
As well would
so
probably
crazy.
Be a lot better than like a prison structure where they have slavery like in the United States of America.
I'm still a little bit.
Let me pull up your question.
Okay, shut up. The clip has someone basically saying people should be put into re-education camps for thought crimes that go against socialism. Hassan clearly does not advocate for that and rejects the idea of it as bad. He only advocated for re-education as a tool for de-radicalization of ideological violent criminals and terrorists, to make it part of a rehabilitation process as a replacement for American-style prisons. Destiny even poisons the well for people who interpret differently what Hassan is saying by demeaning them as regarded fans. I've never once in my life watched Hassan as a form of entertainment. Like 99% of my consumption of Hassan has always been through either Destiny or Sitchin Adam, and the other 1% has been fact-checking what other people say Hassan said. I don't really know much more about Hassan's politics in the past. I only looked up a few statements about Hassan and Dan Saltman said. It later turned up to be mostly lies. Pisco's been calling out more lies that come from this community, mostly lies involving himself, and I hope he continues to do so in other ways that narratives are misconstrued from there. Part 3. Not so erudite caught the Hassan derangement syndrome. Terminal. This is going to be slightly discombobulated because I want to finish this and have spent too much time on it already. I wanted to include the clip of her making this claim to show that more people from DGG just believe whatever narrative Destiny spins up. And because she goes beyond just accusing him of advocating for re-education camps, she doesn't just think that Hassan wants them, but wants them for political speech he doesn't like, and claims he is similar to Trump in that way, and would just be as authoritarian, if not more so, than Orange Man.
So I can think about this and mull it over while we watch. Do you think that Hassan is doing a disservice to the larger conversation by focusing on the content of the protest rather than how either plan to reassert free speech in light of the administration's prosecution? I mean, he's pandering, right? Like he's pandering to his, like, him ever at any time just being like, oh yeah, bemoaning Palestine, wah, Palestine stuff. Anytime he talks about that, it's just going to be a W for his chat. It's such a, like, aggressively popular position.
So, dead kids,
yeah, in general, I think
hospitals exploded. Every single hospital fucking exploded. Okay, erudite. All right, erudite.
The issue is that I don't
all right.
I don't know how much Hassan cares about free speech. Like, if Hassan and his worldview was in a position of power, they would be equally, if not more, authoritarian than Trump. Like, we need to be very clear, at least according to what they have said about their political positions, right? Hassan has basically openly acknowledged that he would be putting people in re-education camps who's had certain positions. And so I don't know why I would expect Hassan to make more space for the attack on free speech when Hassan doesn't even care that much about free speech.
Dude.
He cares about speech he likes happening, and he's using the talking point of free speech because it's a really strong argument under any democracy loving liberal-esque person who values free speech. But his audience doesn't value free speech. I don't even think they would talk at length about free speech. What they value is, like, Palestinian protests being successful. That's what they care. They've never been free speech.
It's all about Israel, man. It's all about it. It all comes back to Israel every time. It's all just about fucking Israel. She also thinks Asmongold is better than Hassan as a content creator for young men. And yet young men still find him a more understanding and worthwhile voice. What about you? I tend to shower. Okay,
as well.
Actually, you know what? While I think Erudite's lying, I will give her that as a win in the tweets. There, that is a slight funny response. We will give her that one. Do you find him to be understanding and more understanding and worthwhile than Hassan? Yeah, but the bar's in hell. I would much prefer someone who isn't sure if non-citizens have any rights to be their go-to. Okay, what are you saying? That doesn't make any sense. And for sure, everything she says about how important it is to weed out leftists like Hassan Piker because they don't advocate enough for voting for the right candidate, she actually doesn't even care who they vote for, and tells voters they shouldn't be voting for people if they don't think they care about them.
I won't keep you because it sounds like you're strapped for time. Just one last thing I was going to mention too is a lot of times with young men, it's kind of like that episode of The Office where Michael Scott's on the date, and at first when he doesn't know he's on a date, he's acting normal, he's doing great, but as soon as he figures out he's on a blind date, he kind of like tanks it and stuff. Sometimes if the young men figure you're trying to go for their vote, they'll kind of lose respect for you. So trying to handle this subject without even mentioning voting or getting them to jump to your side, but just coming from a genuine place of their concerns and, you know, what impacts them and how you can help probably would help out a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, I probably broadly agree. To be honest, I don't give a fuck how young men vote. I hate the Democrats at this point so fucking much. I don't think they've ever earned.
Who's talking? Who's this? Who is this? Who is this? This isn't part of the little pack of people that have been crying, bitching, whining that Hassan isn't democratic, enthusiastic enough about the Democrats, is it? No freaking way, dude. This isn't one of the pack of people that are crying about Hassan saying, I don't care about the Democrats, just use them as a weapon. No hecking way. No freaking way. No freaking way. Surely the entirety of DGG is going to come down on it. Actually, to be fair, the entirety of DGG are already coming down on it for recent events, to be honest.
To be honest, I don't give a fuck how young men vote. I hate the Democrats at this point so fucking much. I don't think they've ever earned anyone's vote, and I don't think anyone should vote for people who don't care about them. So I agree that a lot of Democrats are approaching it, how do we get their vote? And if it came across in the video, like, that's what I care about, that's unfortunate, and I'll be more cautious about that. I don't give a fuck how young men vote. I care about how they think. That's all I care about. And I think young men are thinking really, really poorly.
Wow.
I agree.
No.
Well, thank you very much.
This last clip is to say, if she doesn't care who young men vote for, then she doesn't think you should vote for someone. If you personally believe they don't care about you, then it is odd that Hassan's audience will probably fall under the category of people whom she says she doesn't actually care how they vote. Yet she's constantly criticizing them for it. The reason she gives didn't earn anyone's vote. It's probably something Hassan also believes, and might even be further than what he says. Counterexample and final thoughts. These people need to be sent to re-education camps. This is the only log or clip I could find of Hassan advocating for re-education camps. Offhand statements equals policy, doesn't equal policy. It seems to be an emotional, hyperbolic tweet, like DGG has never seen those before. If there's more than this, I could not find it. It might have you raise your eyebrows, but when he explains thoughts on the matter, it's not the radical commie idea of re-education for speech or thought crimes. Rather, it is a much more nuanced and understanding way to allow violent extremists back into society, so they're at lesser risk of reoffending and hurting people. Pisco in the caller didn't get hung up on this point, as he just conceded it. It wasn't that important, but in the future, I don't think taking DGG talking points about perceived enemies on face value was a good idea. Pisco did not need to give on this point at all, and it could have had the caller completely concede they were wrong when comparing Hassan to Kirk. Like what has been happening with himself lately. There are a lot of misconstrued narratives that come from that community that are built on lies or incredibly bad faith interpretations, to the point it is nearly indistinguishable from a lie, rather than evidence or truth. I guess my prescription is that in the future, when DGGs make claims like this, Pisco should be more skeptical, ask for clips or logs to prove what they're saying over very outlandish statements, like he's been doing for himself. Hassan's a tank you. Dishonesty moderates his views after the fact to trick rubes like you into effort posting for him. Okay, did you not read it? Okay. This is literally the re-education camp clip. This isn't after the fact. Find the one where he actually advocates for re-education camps, if that's happened. Craziness. Absolute craziness. When did I say Hassan isn't ideological? I just don't think he wants... I've got no reason to believe that he wants re-education camps for thought crimes or speech. The argument that Lonerbox would make is that Hassan is hiding his power level. Okay, well, Lonerbox is pro-pedophilia. He's just hiding his power level. Prove me wrong.
I am a Kuihman supporter.
Thank you for the $5, Don't Smile Dean. Huge appreciated. Like, you can do that endlessly. You can literally do that endlessly. You can just go... Oh, Lonerbox has made statements about Lolly decreasing child sex offences. Therefore, Lonerbox is pro-pedophile. And he's just hiding his power level. And if he ever says otherwise, he's lying to deceive you and he's hiding his power level. Like, it's just the most, like, wretched smearing imaginable. If you can't back it up, then shut the fuck up. No one cares. He'd refer to the deprogrammed podcast clip. Yeah, you can't point to a generic instance of someone saying that sometimes they tailor their messaging to audiences to accuse them of being disingenuous in every position. It's not how that works. Again, I can probably find clips of Lonerbox saying he tailors his message to an audience, and I could very easily build the exact same case. So it's just like retarded arguments. There won't be a hotch debate. Guys, we might speak to counterpoints at some point in the next few days, okay? I'm trying to make it up to you guys, because that fell through. No, I'm not actually saying that. I'm obviously raising that as a absurd hypothetical to prove a point. Thank you for the $5, though, Max. Okay, guys, now is a great time to chill. 478 people here, 92 likes on the stream. It's almost 380 people, and please move the cursor thumbs up and clicking it, or pressing the thumbs up on the mobile device. That'd be hugely appreciated. If you want to take your support one step further, you can donate directly through a Stream Elements link in the pin chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of memberships randomly throughout the chat. Buy a super chat, which will highlight a message and read on TTS, or buy a super sticker, which is a YouTube image or gift that will be highlighted in the channel and subscribe it to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, or reddit.com/r/Kuihman. Also putting up a goal right now, guys. Epic goal going in the chat. And clip, post like hell. Always be clipping, ABC. You know, all that stuff. All that epic stuff, guys. I don't know how long we stream for, so do a short goal. We might do a bit longer. Re-education camp is prison with forced labor. So you need to ask yourself, what is the difference between this and penal labor in prisons in the USA beside political prosecution in those countries? What are you saying? Are you saying like anyone who's criticizing Hassan here needs to ask themselves why they have an issue with this and not American prisons? Is that what your point is? Because that makes sense to me.